Yes, Espedia. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day, your week, and your new year are going very well so far. The NFL Week 18, the regular season finale, is officially here, and with that, I've got some great NFL picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day and a new week comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. Check out the shirt in the Fade Me store, by the way. Got a lot of great stuff over there. Guys, the regular season finale is here. It's crazy to think the NFL regular season is already over. This year has flown by. The playoffs start already next week. But I guess time flies by when you're having fun, and time flies by also when you're making money. Real quick, guys, before I recap last week's picks, before we dive into today's picks, I do have a quick little announcement to make. This is going to be, and guys, please hold the tears back, the final NFL Oracle show for the 2024-25 NFL season. I think the NFL Oracle works best as a regular season show when we have a full pick slate, go through every single game. Don't worry, we're still going to have football content. I'm going to be doing single game videos for the playoff games. Myself, Evan, Trey, we're going to kind of be splitting the work there, doing a bunch of individual videos where we can kind of focus more on the games, talk more about the matchups, more than like the Oracle where we spend 2 or 3 minutes on a pick. We can actually spend in a little more of an expanded period of time on the individual playoff games. So yeah, this is the final NFL Oracle video of the season. I want to thank you guys for supporting us all season long, and I'm here to happy to announce we will be back next season. We're already going to be back next year, so don't worry. We'll be back next season with more NFL Oracle. But thank you, everybody. This is the first year we did this show. I appreciate all the support all year round. You guys have been fantastic. We've built this show into a nice, healthy following. But yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making this show possible, for continuing to support, to watch, to ask, hey, where's the Oracle? I know the schedule is a little inconsistent this year with the release dates, but I really do appreciate you guys all year long with your continued support. And to show my thanks, we're going to do a little giveaway contest for the final NFL Oracle video of the year. We're not doing any must-win teaser contests or anything. We're going to make it very easy. Comment the Oracle, okay? Just comment the Oracle down below, and I'm going to give one lucky commenter. Let's do it $50. $50 Amazon gift card for free, just as a thank you to the community, to all you guys for supporting the show. We're doing a free $50 Amazon gift card to one lucky commenter. All you have to do is comment the Oracle down below. One more time, guys, Happy New Year. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the support all year long, and I hope you'll continue to watch our NFL content through the rest of the playoffs. Even though there will be no more NFL Oracle videos this year, there's still going to be plenty more NFL videos throughout the NFL playoffs and the rest of the season. All right, with that all out of the way, quick little recap of how I did last week. Kind of a weird week. It wasn't really great. We had a really awful start. If you look at how that week went, we had Chargers -5.5. That was an easy hit against the Patriots. Then we had a lot of misses there in between, right? We had a really rough, the Colts killed us. Dallas killed us. The Rams were disappointing. You know, we had a really rough go of it. And then we kind of bounced back very nicely later on in the week. We had a really strong finish. We hit on each of our final 4 picks there. So we did have a nice, strong finish to the week. Overall, I believe we had a losing record last week, which has been kind of rare this year. 6-7 last week. We are 110, 76-4 on the year, though. So it's been a really successful season here on the NFL Oracle. In terms of the parlays last week, now we hit 1 and 2 parlays last week. We did hit a plus 540 parlay. So in our parlay record on the year, we're 11 and 27, which I know at first glance is not very good, but we've hit a lot of big parlays. We hit a plus 1,000 parlay. Last week we hit plus 540. So we hit some big parlays. And teasers, kind of the same story. We did the Cardinals and we put the Colts in a lot of teasers last week. They screwed us over big time there. We did end up hitting a 4-leg teaser, though, plus 200 odds. So that was nice. So at least we did have a couple big plus money plays. And although we did go 6-7, it's not the worst results of all time. Last NFL Oracle show of the season. Let's see if we can finish the year off with a big bang. Guys, no more time to waste. Long intro already. Let's dive right into this week's picks. Now, guys, full disclosure here. I'm not going to go through every game because week 18 is full of landmines. It's full of traps. There's only a handful of games that actually have true value or true meaning. We do actually still have 14 picks to hand out in today's video. I say be cautious, and then I throw you guys a million picks. But there's still some value to find week 18. Just be cautious with how many units you're playing, what you're playing, etc. But our first pick here comes from today, Saturday's game, 8 p.m. Kickoff here. We got Bengals, Steelers. I'm going Steelers on the money line. If you watch H2H, me and Ev have a little bit of a rivalry here going on in this game. He has Bengals on this side. I have the Steelers. I like Pittsburgh a lot in this spot. The Steelers are getting a lot of hate because they've kind of had this late season collapse, which is kind of typical for Tomlin. But we do have to understand at who they played. They've had a gauntlet of a schedule. They played the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs over the last 3 games, which is the Devil's Triangle in terms of games. But also, the NFL's new Christmas schedule kind of screwed the Steelers over. Look at the dates for these games. They played Philadelphia on December 15th, then Baltimore on December 21st, and then the Chiefs on December 25th. So in a 10-day period, they played 3 games and 3 of the toughest teams in the NFL, with 2 of them being road games. So a lot of travel for Pittsburgh as well in this spot. So really tough run for them. They lost all 3 games, which is unfortunate. To be totally fair, though, I think a lot of teams would have struggled in this exact position. Also, the Steelers had some injuries. George Pickens was hurt for a little bit there. So, I think if you put any team, if you put the Bengals in that position, they also go 0-3. There's maybe the Chiefs would go 3-0 in that spot. Even them, I think they would struggle. Really rough situation to have to play 3 games in 10 days in general, but play those 3 teams in particular. Really rough run for the Steelers. I still think this is a good team, though. Everyone's like, oh, their defense is falling apart. Well, their defense is falling apart because they're playing the Eagles, who have a top 10 offense, the Ravens, who have a top 10 offense, and the Chiefs don't really have a top 10 offense statistically this year, but obviously it's Mahomes, it's all there. And actually, when they played the Chiefs, that was the healthiest the Chiefs offense has been since probably week 1. So I do like Pittsburgh. I still think this team is really solid. On the Bengals side of things, it just feels like a real public play to me. I feel like everybody and their mother is riding Cincinnati in this spot. I think the Steelers are the smarter play here. The Bengals, look, it's been incredible. They've won 4 straight. They're on a really good run. They now have a chance to make the playoffs despite being as bad as they were. However, if we go ahead and examine these wins for Cincinnati, I'm just not totally blown away or impressed. They beat a Cowboys team on, I believe it was Sunday Night Football, or Monday Night Football. That was a close, narrow win. They beat Tennessee. Okay, Tennessee's a 3-win team. They beat Cleveland. Okay, Cleveland's a 3-win team. The most impressive win they've had there is against Denver, which was impressive. But in all honesty, the Bengals should have lost that game. Their defense is absolutely atrocious. Luckily enough, they played a rookie quarterback and a team that, although they've had a really good year, I do think Denver is missing some pieces, specifically in the offensive side of the football. Again, not to take away everything, no matter what, it's still impressive what they've done so far, the fact that they've gotten themselves in a position to make the playoffs here, but this is just not a good spot for Cincinnati. You're at Pittsburgh. You have Mike Tomlin as a home underdog. All the data provided. He's at like a 70% cover rate against the spread, and then as a straight-up winner, I think it's like over 65% as a home underdog, especially coming off of a double-digit loss. Mike Tomlin, in all these scenarios in his career, has typically excelled, and I just think this Bengals team offensively, they're obviously, we know they're solid. Even against good defenses, they're going to get their points. This Steelers defense, as good as it is, they're going to score points. As a matter of fact, the last time these 2 teams played, going back to December 1st, it was a 44-38 win for Pittsburgh. The Bengals scored 38 points on this Steelers defense. So yes, the Bengals are going to go ahead. They're going to score their points. But the problem is this defense is so bad. Although the Steelers offense does not look great, I do think that Russell Wilson and the Steelers team will make enough plays to go ahead and win this game. And they do kind of need this win, because a win would lock them into the 5 seed in the AFC, and obviously getting the 5 seed would give them a first-round matchup with Houston, which right now, if you see how the Texans are, you'd like to play Houston in the first round versus, let's say, traveling to Baltimore. So this game actually does mean something for Pittsburgh. It's not like they can just roll over and take the loss. Yes, they've already clinched the playoff spot, but a loss here, let's say, Denver somehow wins. Not Denver, actually, they have the tiebreaker. Let's say they lose and the Chargers win here. Okay, the Chargers would leapfrog them for the 5 spot, and now all of a sudden you're Pittsburgh, you're the 6th seed traveling to Baltimore to play the Ravens in round 1 of the playoffs. I don't think you want that. I think you'd much rather play Houston in round 1 and then get Kansas City. I know it's at Kansas City, but you'd probably get them off the bye week. So there is that advantage there. So I do think there is something to play here for Pittsburgh. Again, we know this team defensively, they are really solid. I do think Russell Wilson's offense, although it's very inconsistent, I think this Bengals defense is so bad. Pittsburgh, who scored 44 points the last time they played, should be able to go ahead and score enough points to win this game. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close, but I do like the Steelers in this spot on the money line too. Plus, we're going to do 120 on ESPN bet. Seems like really good value. All right, guys, next up, by the way, like I said, we're skipping some games here. Like Browns, Ravens, I want nothing to do with that game. There's just no angle for me in that. I know the Ravens do need to technically win to lock up the 3 seed, but I don't want anything to do with it. Instead, we're going to pivot to Sunday slate now here, guys. We have Panthers, Falcons, 1 p.m. kickoff. I'm going with the over here, 48.5 in this game. Now, Atlanta does need to win this game in order to have a shot to make the playoffs. They also need Tampa Bay to lose to the Saints, which, spoiler, I don't think it's going to happen. But I do think Atlanta, obviously, they do have something to play for here. They need to win this game just to have a prayer's chance of making the playoffs. So they're going to go ahead and play hard. And Carolina, the way they've been playing lately, I expect them to play hard also. Now, they did lose a really bad game to the Bucs last week, but they beat Arizona the week before. This team's are pretty feisty. They've been feisty for the last 2 months, and they've had a couple bad losses like the Dallas, the Tampa Bay. But I do think this Carolina team is feisty. Excuse me. Why I like the over, though, is the fact that Both of these defenses are atrocious. Now, Atlanta defensively, you look at their numbers over the last couple of weeks, they've been a little bit better. Now, some of that's competition they played, right? They, only 9 points to the Raiders, 7 points to the Giants. Those two games kind of helped their numbers, but overall, this is a bottom 10 defense in the NFL in a lot of key ways. And Carolina offensively, although they're not a great ranked team, they have been playing better. And again, you've seen, they've scored at least 14 points in every game dating back to October 20th. So from that Broncos game on, they've scored at least 14 points in every single game. I don't think that changes here. You're going to get at least 2, probably more like 3 touchdowns from Carolina. And on the flip side here for the Panthers, look at what they're giving up: 48, 30, 22, 26, 30. 17. You know what I mean? Like, they're giving up a healthy amount of points in their games. This is not a good defense. This is defensively, Carolina is the worst scoring defense, giving almost 31 points per game. I do think Atlanta will do much of the heavy lifting here. Since they brought in Michael Penix, you see they've been scoring more too. 34 points against the Giants, 24 points against the Commanders. The switch from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix seems to be working for Atlanta here. So I do think Atlanta will do a lot of the heavy lifting with the scoring, but I think the key thing here is that Carolina's defense is so bad that they're going to give up a healthy amount of points. Atlanta will probably score somewhere in the ballpark of 35. I say 20 to 35 points. I think Carolina can contribute enough to push that total over. The fact that Atlanta has something to play for, they're going to try and score. They're going to play hard. But I think Carolina's a good enough team here in this spot to give Atlanta a challenge. So I like the over. I also like the Falcons -7. Again, this team has something to play for. Carolina, I mean, yeah, I'm sure a win would help build culture and whatnot, but obviously a loss would obviously help their draft pick scenario. So, Carolina, I think their motivation in this game, I think they could take or leave a win at this point. Atlanta needs the win. They're going to fight hard. I do think this team is very talented on both sides of the ball, even though their defense is not very good. They have playmakers on the defensive side. With Michael Penix at quarterback, I like the Falcons offense a lot more than I did before when Kirk Cousins was really struggling there. So I like Atlanta in this spot. I'll take a -7, -130 ESPN bet. I just think they have more to play for, and these teams that have more to play for, it doesn't always work out like you saw the Colts last week. It doesn't always work out, but I think Atlanta is going to be motivated. I think they are truly the better team in this spot. So give me the Falcons -7 at home. All right, guys, next up we got Commanders, Cowboys, 1 p.m. kickoff. We're going Washington here, -6.5 on the spread. Again, looking for the value in this Week 18 can be difficult. What teams are actually trying, what teams are not. Washington, obviously, they've already clinched the playoff spot. They have 11 wins, so this game doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of making the playoffs. They're already there. This game does have some implications with seeding. Now, if Washington were to lose and Green Bay were to win, which they're playing the Bears, so pretty good chance that happens, Washington would fall down to the 7 seed, and that obviously means traveling to Philadelphia for round 1. I don't think the Commanders want that, although they did beat them the last time they played. I think you'd rather not go to Philly for a playoff game against that Eagles team. I think you'd rather go to, like, let's say LA or Tampa Bay, depending on who gets the 3 seed there. I think those would probably be a better spot for you, if I'm being totally honest. So there is something to play there for the seeding purposes. Obviously, there's a little bit of a revenge factor. The Cowboys obviously beat the Commanders earlier this year in embarrassing fashion. I also just think the Cowboys, they're not a very good team. Now, I know Dallas, they've actually had a pretty decent run where they beat Carolina, they beat Tampa Bay, which is an upset, but then they got blown up by Philly last week. I think the Cooper Rush thing, he can hold them afloat for a little while, but the reality is, the Cowboys defense has gotten a little bit better. This is not a very good team. Last game of the year, I just don't know what to think of this Dallas team, whereas Washington does have something to play for. Divisional games can always be difficult, but I like the Commanders with the revenge factor, with the fact that they want to lock up that 6 seed, in the NFC. Again, a lot of these games are kind of coin flip type of games, but I do like the Commanders here, -6.5. I think this is, again, you have the revenge factor. There's a little more motivation on the Commanders side of things to finish the year off strong. Jaden Daniels possibly playing for Rookie of the Year, stuff like that. So I like the Commanders here, -6.5. All right, guys, next up we got Giants, Eagles, 1 p.m. kickoff. I'm not going to spend too much time. If you can see, guys, some of these games, I don't want to spend too much time because, well, a lot of these games, it's hard to spend time on them because a lot of guys are out. It's kind of like how college football bowl season is, where it's like it's hard to talk about the stats and whatnot because a lot of the guys who make those stats happen are not playing. I like the under here in this game, 37.5. This is an easy one for me. The Eagles, obviously, no Jalen Hurts, no Saquon Barkley. They're resting most of their guys. You got Kenny Pickett, and probably you're going to see some Tanner McKee. A lot of the Eagles' backups are in here against the Giants team, where honestly, it doesn't matter if their starters are in or not. This is a really bad Giants team who obviously they won last week versus Indianapolis. Kind of hurt their draft pick. I don't think they want to win again, nor do I think they will. Even the Eagles' backups should be able to beat the Giants here. I just don't like this. But I think both offenses could struggle here. I don't see the Eagles scoring. I know they just scored 41 points with their backups against Dallas, but they still had Saquon. They still had A.J. Brown. They still had their pieces. I think a lot of those guys are going to be out in this game, so you're going to see a lot of backups playing here. I just think the under is the smarter play. The Giants do have some pieces on defense that could go ahead and maybe slow down the Eagles' backups. Ultimately, I just don't think Philadelphia is going to be in the process of scoring. They have nothing to play for here. They're basically locked into the 2 seed at this point, so there's nothing to go for. They don't care about this game. Win or lose, their position stays the same. So I just don't see them putting any real effort into trying to blow out the Giants here. And on the Giants side, even if they do put in effort, they don't really want to win this game either for draft pick purposes. So I think the under 37.5 is a good play. And then I also like Eagles minus 2.5. I just audible and threw this pick in here. I don't see how the Giants. I mean, I guess the Giants are that messed up of an organization they could do this to themselves. I don't know why you'd want to win this game. You already won last week and screwed up the number 1 overall pick and gave it to my New England Patriots. You win this game, now you're sitting there. You could fall outside of the top 7 or 8. Like, I just don't know why the Giants would ever want to win this game. I know it's a division game and whatnot, and Dable probably coaching for his job and whatnot, but and Drew Lock obviously playing for a chance to keep playing in the league and maybe be a starter somewhere else. Who knows? But I just don't see this game going very well. Even the Eagles backups should be able to handle the Giants starter / backup. So I like the Eagles minus 2.5 and the under 37.5 in this spot. Next up, we got Pats Bills 1 p.m. kickoff. I'm praying that the Bills win this game. My fear is that Gerard Mayo is stupid enough to win this game and ruin the. If we lose this game, New England is in one of the best rebuild starting spots I've ever seen. Ever. To have the franchise quarterback on a rookie contract who's already looks like a superstar. Yes, is he perfect? No. I mean, yes, he has some flaws. Is he perfect? No. But I think he is legitimately a smaller Josh Allen. I think he has a lot of potential. He has superstar written all over him. You've got one of the already, I think, the top 10 best corners in the league on a rookie contract, okay? So you've got the quarterback and the cornerback, which are two of the most important positions in football. You have superstars at both positions, both on rookie contracts. You have almost $100 million in cap space going into the offseason. And you have the number 1 overall pick, which you could trade down only 2 or 3 spots with one of these quarterback-needy teams, get more picks, and still get your pick of like a Will Campbell or a Calvin Banks and figure out your left tackle situation. Maybe you only trade down a spot or 2 and you end up with Travis Hunter. Whatever the case may be, they are in an incredible position here. Now, if they lose, if they do win, it's not the end of the world. They've already locked a top 4 pick in this draft. So worst case scenario, they're going to have the 4th overall pick, which is not a horrible spot to be in, but the opportunity to have the 1st overall pick and to trade down and get an extra 1st next year, an extra 2nd, maybe another player, who knows? It's just way too important for the future of this team. This game means nothing. If they win this game, who gives a flying F? Right? Who cares? As a Patriots fan, I'm saying this. I want them to lose 100-0, honestly. So that way they'll fire Mayo, too. This is what I want for this game. Now, what does all that have to do with the pick? Nothing. I'm going with the team total over for the Patriots. A little rant there. I'm going with the Patriots team total over 16.5 points here because Drake May is starting. By all indications, they're going to play him. Mayo wants to win this game because, again, he's coaching for his job, and obviously he thinks beating the Bills would help him, even though it would hurt the Patriots. He doesn't really care because obviously he's coaching to save his job because I think another loss could potentially mean cleaning the house, although I don't know. All the reports are reading is that Kraft is going to stick with him. I think it's the wrong move, but it is what it is. The Patriots scored 21 points the last time they played Buffalo. They have nothing to play for. Win or lose, kind of like the Eagles. Win or lose, they're locked into 2 seeds. So this game means nothing for them. Now, they're going to start Josh Allen. I'm sure that has to do with some MVP stuff and whatnot, and awards and incentives. He's going to play a little bit in this game, but the Bills could give 2 shits about this. If anything, Buffalo would want New England to win so that New England doesn't get the number 1 overall pick because you don't want to help your division rival out, right? I just think New England, I think they're genuinely going to try and win this game. I think they're genuinely going to try and go for it, which is so infuriating as a Patriots fan who had to sit through this slog of a season that they're going to try and win this game. I really hope that they don't. But they've cashed this over in 56% of their games, 9 out of 16 games. You're getting it for minus 105, 2 on DraftKings, so pretty good value. If they're going to play Drake May and they're going to take it seriously and try to score, I don't think Buffalo's going to stop them. I think New England could score a healthy amount of points in this one. So I think I hate to bet this because I don't want it to be true. I hope New England scores 0 points. But I think the team total over 16.5 is the right play. I think New England's actually going to try and win this one, and they're going to put the starters out and whatnot. And I hope that's not the case, but from everything I'm reading, it's what seems to happen. So if that is the case, the team total over of 16.5 points seems to be the right play. Please, God, do not give the Patriots a win tomorrow. Please just let them lose, and let's finish the year off and head into a bright, hopeful future with maybe Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel as the head coach of this team. All right, moving on, guys. Saints-Bucks, 1 p.m. kickoff. Yeah, I love the Bucks here, minus 14. Obviously, the situation for playoffs, the Bucks win. They win the division. They lock, either at least the 4 seed. Very simple. The Saints, 5-win team. This team is, they had a little bit of life there after they fired Dennis Allen, where it's like, hey, this team's kind of interesting. They beat Atlanta. They beat Cleveland. They hung tight with the Rams. They beat the Giants. They lost by 1 to the Commanders. It was like, wait a second, this Saints team, they're pretty good. Like this Saints team, they're trending in the right direction. And then the last 2 weeks happened where they got blown up by Green Bay. They get beat by the Raiders pretty badly. The Raiders, beat them by more than 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr's out. Most of the starters are out in this game. The Saints don't want to win. I think a loss would help the Saints way more than a win. And Tampa Bay needs this game so badly. And there's some incentive play with Baker and Mike Evans and whatnot. So I think Tampa Bay scores a healthy amount of points. They don't want to leave anything up to chance here. They're going to crush the Saints at home. And I think, obviously the Saints, this team is depleted. They don't have Marshawn Lattimore anymore. Mike Evans is going to have a massive game. Yeah, very simple. I love the Bucs here, minus 14. I also love their team total over in points, 28.5. I don't see how the Saints stop them defensively. The Saints this year. If we go ahead and look at this number down here, defensively the Saints, they're tied for 18th in scoring defense, but they're 27th in passing yards allowed, 30th in rushing yards allowed. Tampa Bay are top 5 in both passing and rushing yards per game. And again, if you go ahead and look at the last 10 games for New Orleans, if we go back here, apologies for that. We're gonna go back and if I can find this somewhere. This is a little behind the scenes shot here. All right, we go back here and look at the Saints the last couple games. 25 to the Raiders, 34 to the Packers, 20 to the Commanders. The last 3 games, at least 20 points allowed in each of their last 3 games. In their last 2, again, the Raiders are not a good offense. They scored 25. Green Bay, which I guess you could say is a comparable offense to Tampa Bay, scored 34 points in that one. I think Tampa Bay could easily score 30 plus in this one. Again, the fact that they need to win this game, the fact that you have some incentive stuff as well, I don't think they want to leave this game anything close to chance. The Bucs have cashes in 50% of the games this year. They scored 48 against Carolina last week. I don't expect them to change that pace at all, so expect the Bucs to score often and early. Love them here on the spread minus 14 and the team total over 28.5. All right, guys, next pick we got Texans Titans 1 p.m. kickoff, and I'm going to be heads up on this, guys. My reasoning for this pick, you may not agree with it. If you don't agree with it, it is what it is. I'm rocking with the Texans in the money line here, plus 105. Now, normally, if you watch the article, I use a lot of data, a lot of insights. Week 18, you throw the playbook out. You see this, you throw it out. You throw the playbook out for Week 18 because you just hang on and pray with a lot of these picks. That's just how Week 18 goes. And honestly, sometimes the draft incentive, the motivation factors, those all come into play here. In this particular spot, I like Texans in the money line mainly because does Tennessee want to lose this? Do they want to win this game? Right now, I believe at the time of recording, they have, if I'm not mistaken, the 2nd overall pick in the draft. When you need a quarterback badly, why would you want to win this game? Now, I know they're favorites in this one. I think Dave Callahan's safe. I think he knows he's safe. I don't see why Tennessee in any world would want to win this game. Now, for Houston, there's no incentive to winning this one. They're pretty much locked in at the 4 seed. They are going to rest their players and kind of, they've had so many injuries. They're going to try and just hope and pray they can get to the playoffs healthy enough. But again, I don't think Houston's going to have to try hard. If they put Davis Mills out there, I believe he's still on the Texans. If they throw Davis Mills out there, he should be enough to beat this Tennessee team. I think Tennessee is going to, you saw it last week versus Jacksonville. They should have beaten that Jaguars team. They genuinely did not want to. So I think Tennessee, the draft pick, having that 2nd overall pick, and maybe even potentially the 1st overall pick if the Patriots win, is far too more important to win some meaningless Week 18 game. So I like the Texans on the money line here. You're getting them at plus 105 too, so pretty good value there. Next up, guys, we got Jags Colts 1 p.m. kickoff, going Jags plus 3.5. The Mac Jones Jaguars have actually been kind of interesting. They've been hanging close in these games. Obviously, both these teams have nothing to play for. Normally, I would say stay away from this game, but because of the spread we're getting at plus 3.5, the Shane Steichen's already been told that he's safe for next year. I think the Colts don't really care about this game all that much. They're not going to put a lot of the starters in. I think you're probably going to get Joe Flacco, which could be a bad thing for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I just don't really see this game being something the Colts are going to put all their effort into, whereas Jacksonville, obviously, if you're Doug Peterson, you're trying to coach for your job. I think you're Mac Jones. This is probably your last good chance to be a starter for a while. I mean, he's been okay at times for the Jaguars. I mean, he's won a couple games for them, but I think that the Jaguars have a lot of guys on this team that are trying to prove something, that are trying to, guys like Mac Jones, who obviously are trying to find a place for themselves in the league, to advertise to potential teams in free agency, like, hey, this is what I can do for you. So I do think Jacksonville's going to try a little bit harder. They might have a little more motivation, Mac Jones in particular. So I think plus 3.5 is a good number here. Again, when you have two teams that don't care who if they win or lose, really, the Jaguars obviously a loss would help their draft position and whatnot. But the fact they won last week versus Tennessee, they beat Tennessee twice, which is crazy. But they've been trying, right? They've hung around a lot of these games. They barely lose to the Raiders. They barely lose to the Jets. They barely lose to the Texans. Like since that horrible Lions loss, the last month plus, they've actually been pretty competitive, either winning or keeping it within a touchdown in a lot of these games. I just don't, the last time these two teams played, it was a pretty close game also, 37-34. The Jaguars won. Now, to be fair, that was back when it was Trevor Lawrence playing, not Mac Jones. But, rivalry game, division rivalry game, these games are typically on the closer side. Actually, not too much. Like I said, guys, when it's this late in the year, you just kind of, spreads kind of play a factor here. Getting that 3.5 point hook there feels really important to me. I think this game's going to be really close, so I like the Jaguars here, plus 3.5. All right, guys, next up, we got Chiefs-Broncos, 4:25 p.m. kickoff. This is another one of those games where there actually are playoff implications for one side, not so much the other. Believe it or not, I'm going to rock with the Chiefs here, plus 10.5 points. I just think the spread is far too big. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think that the Broncos are going to win this game. I think Denver, obviously, if they win, they're in. If they lose, if one of either Miami or Cincinnati wins, they're out. So this is obviously a massive game for them. Sean Payton's a great coach. I don't think the Broncos lose this game. All that being said, though, I do think, especially considering the circumstance, like let's say Miami and Cincinnati both lose. Remember, they play in the 1 o'clock window. Denver might just say, hey, we're already in. We're good to go. We're going to go ahead and pull back here. That's a real possibility here. Even if they don't, I think 10.5 points is far too many. I think Carson Wentz, you can say what you want about him. He's an experienced starter who has had a lot of success in his career. He's had a lot of failures also. But I think he's still good enough with whatever they throw at him, whatever bench players the Chiefs have, to at least keep this game respectable. Yeah, the Chiefs have nothing to play for here. They already locked up the 1 seed. They have the bye week. So there's really not much to play for here. But I do think Kansas City, even with their backups, even with Carson Wentz in, they should be able to keep this game within 10 points. I just don't see Denver blowing the Chiefs out. Even if there's some backups, they're going to have a healthy amount of starters still playing, especially because they're going to have multiple weeks off here. I like the Chiefs here, plus 10.5. They've been on a good cover streak here. Obviously, they cover this line of plus 10.5 in 100% of their games this year. But Denver's only covered minus 10.5 in 38% of their games this season. So, yeah, they've had a good year, but they don't really cover this number all too often. The last time these two teams played was a 2-point game. Again, granted, that's Mahomes. That's their full team. They're not going to have their full team here. I just think 10.5 points is far too many points, even at home for the Broncos. I think whatever the Chiefs throw their way, they're still going to try to win this game with their backups here. It's just too many points. Give me the Chiefs here, plus 10.5. All right, guys, next up we got Raiders-Chargers, 4:25 p.m. kickoff. We got Chargers minus 4.5 here on the spread, on the road in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Chargers kind of has something to play for here. They already locked into the playoffs. There's a chance, though, with a win and some other things going on there, they could jump up to the 5 seed potentially and then have to play Houston, which obviously is a much better spot for them. So there is and there isn't. Like I said, if they lose this game, it really doesn't matter. They're basically locked into the 6 seed. I don't think they're going to finish any lower than the 6 seed. So, and even if they do, they might. I don't think they can finish 7 seed. Honestly, I think they're locked into 6. Could be mistaken there, but they're definitely in the playoffs. We know that for sure. A win though and a Steelers loss, which is realistic. Like the Steelers, it is realistic. That could catapult the Chargers to the 5 seed. And again, I think you'd much rather play Houston at Houston than play Baltimore at Baltimore in round 1. So this game does have some meaning. The Raiders also, they've been on this weird run where they just keep winning, which is crazy. The Raiders have covered the spread in 3 straight weeks. They beat the Jaguars and the Saints back-to-back weeks. And they went from having the 2nd overall pick to now I think they have like the 8th overall pick. A win here would maybe get them out of the top 10 or at least push them even further back and guarantee they're not in the, definitely also the top 6 or 7. I just don't. I guess the Raiders could do it. I think the Chargers, though, they do have something to play for here. Like I said, a win would maybe get them to the 5 seed, which is pretty important. I think I would rather. I just think the Raiders is good. When you look at who they're beating, they beat the Saints and they beat the Jaguars and they hung tight with the Falcons and Kirk Cousins last game. Like those are the results you're getting from them. This is not a good football team. Let's not get mince words here. This is not a good football team, and they got they won a couple games because they played some teams that were actually worse than them, or actually teams that just were smart enough to know, hey, you'll lose these games with the draft pick. But I think the train ends here for the Raiders. I think the Chargers will take care of business here, minus 4.5 on the road, and potentially get that 5 seed. And on my final pick, guys, I totally misspoke earlier talking about the Broncos pick. The Dolphins play the same time, so they're not going to pull all the starters out because the Dolphins could still win that game. My pick doesn't. I still like the Chiefs plus 10.5 in that spot. I don't know why I thought this game was at 1 o'clock. Apologies for that. Week 18. Kind of crazy. But yeah, our final pick in today's slate, because obviously Sunday Night Football, I do my Sunday Night Football picks video, so that will be a separate video. My final pick, or my final single bet for the NFL Oracle this year, Dolphins, Jets. I'm going Dolphins money line here. Again, the motivation factor. Miami needs to win this game to have a chance to make the 7 seed in the playoffs. The Jets, do they really want to win this game? It's a disaster. This has been a nightmare of a year. Aaron Rodgers, this could potentially be his final game in the NFL, although he does insinuate that he's not going to. Whatever the case may be, this does not feel good. if for the Dolphins and the Jets. It feels like, I mean, for the Jets side of things, it feels like a loss would help them, obviously, with the draft pick situation. Maybe they try and win this game. I don't know, but I think Miami, obviously, they need to win this one. For the Jets, I think you just kind of want to end this season off and just be done with it and move on. They're a 4-win team. A loss would help their draft position here in a big way. The Dolphins, obviously, like I just keep mentioning over and over, they need this win to make the playoffs. The Dolphins would normally be a lot more favored, but of course, there is no Tua Tagovailoa in this spot. We're getting Snoop Huntley here. But Snoop Huntley actually played really well his last time out when they played the last 2 games against the Niners, against the Browns. He's actually looked pretty impressive. Tyler Huntley against Cleveland was really impressive. And again, early in the year when he kind of filled in for Tua, I wasn't too blown away by his performances. But versus Cleveland, he was really impressive in that game. And I think he is good enough here with the weapons that the Dolphins have to go ahead and get this win against a lowly Jets team that, even if maybe the Jets are trying, like I keep talking about the Jets like, oh, they don't want to win. Even if the Jets do try and win, do we really think they're going to beat the Dolphins here? The last time these two teams played earlier this year, the Jets lost 26-32 back on December 8th. Kind of a close game. The Jets actually did lead. The Dolphins had to come from behind and win that game in that spot. But I think the Jets back then still had a shot of kind of turning it around. At this point, they know it's done. It's finished. It's been a disaster. Now you have all the stories coming out that Woody Johnson and Aaron Rodgers hate each other, and him and Adams are going to be gone, and Garrett Wilson might want out, and people are telling it's a disaster. The Jets are an absolute disaster. Gotham City is under fire and chaos here. They got killed by Buffalo last week. I just don't see the Jets putting up too much of a fight here. I think the Dolphins, who need this win, they're obviously motivated. These guys are all going to come play their hardest. The Jets are just going to, I think, roll over and take it. So I like the Dolphins in the money line here, minus 102. All right, guys, now moving on to the parlay and teaser portion in today's video. And I'll be honest, we're going to dial it back a lot because, again, a lot of landmines in today's slate. So our first parlay, we have a simple money line parlay. These are just 3 teams where, A, they need to win their games for playoff purposes, but B, I think have pretty good chances of winning it. We have Falcons money line, Broncos money line, and Dolphins money line. You parlay all 3 together. You get a parlay of plus 178 on DraftKings. Again, all these teams, now, funny enough, 2 of these 3 teams, they could win their games and not make the playoffs, but all 3 of these teams need to win their games in order to have a shot. Denver wins, they're in automatically, but Miami and Atlanta, they have to win in order to have a prayer's chance. So I think all those teams, they have good matchups too, like Dolphins, Jets, Panthers, Falcons, you know what I mean? Like, they're all playing, those 2 are playing teams that are very much beatable. So this 3-leg parlay plus 178 odds, pretty good value there. My next parlay, guys, another 3-leg parlay. This is the Help My Draft Pick parlay. It's 3 teams that I'm going against other teams that have potential for top 3 picks in this draft that probably losing would benefit them. So we have Texans money line against Tennessee. Again, Tennessee with a loss could potentially get the number 1 overall pick, at least a top 3 pick in this draft. We have Eagles money line against the Giants. I don't think New York wants to win another game this year. And then I'm praying that the Bills, that they do this for the Patriots. But obviously, if the Patriots lose this game, they get the number 1 overall pick. So this is all draft pick compensation thing. So 3-leg parlay plus 474 odds. You have 2 favorites, and although Texans are an underdog, they're a slight underdog here against Tennessee, so I do like this spot. My next parlay, guys, got another 3-leg parlay plus 431 odds. This is the screw it, we got nothing else to go for, so why not parlay? These are 3 teams where it's like a loss doesn't really matter because they have too many wins to have a good draft pick, but also a win. None of these teams can make the playoffs, so it's like, hey, you might as well just go ball out and finish the year off strong. We have Cardinals minus 4.5 against the Niners. We have Seahawks minus 6.5 against the Rams, and Cowboys alternate line plus 10.5 against the Commanders. Again, all 3 of these teams, they can't make the playoffs, but all 3 of these teams have at least 7 wins, so losing doesn't really do too much for them. They might as well just try and win it and finish the year off strong. So I think it's a pretty good parlay there, plus 431 odds too. And then our final parlay, guys, we're actually going to do this live with me. It's just, I'm going to start doing this next. I started doing it a couple weeks ago. I'm going to do it next year where every week we're just going to do a moneyline parlay. We're just going to see if we can pick every game correctly and see, can we go a pick-em a sweep? Can we pick the winner in every game? So we'll go Ravens moneyline. I think they're going to win that game. I'm going Steelers moneyline there. We'll go ahead and go down here. Whoops, went down a little too far. Bucks are going to win that game for sure. I'm hoping Buffalo wins, so I'm going to go with Buffalo here. That's just me kind of praying that into existence. We got Packers money line. I think obviously they do have something to play for in that game. I just think the spread's a little too high, which is why I didn't target that as a pick. Eagles money line because the Giants don't want to win. We'll go Atlanta. They need to win that game. Commanders, they need to win that game. I'm gonna go Jaguars on the money line. I think Jacksonville wants to win that game, which is crazy enough to say. I'm gonna go Houston on the money line. Again, I don't think Tennessee wants to win that one there. Scrolling down below, I think Denver takes care of business. We'll go Denver money line. We'll go Dolphins on the money line. We'll go Chargers here. We're going to go Seahawks. The Rams have nothing really to play for. I think they're pretty much locked into at least the 3 seed, if not the 4 seed. They're going to rest some of their starters. So we'll go Seattle there. And against Seattle, they might as well just try and win that game. Geno Smith obviously playing for incentives and whatnot. Cardinals. And then I don't do Sunday Night Football picks because I have my separate video, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a spoiler. I think Vikings win that game and lock up the 1 seed. So 16-leg parlay plus 115,810 odds. So just to let you guys know, if you put $100 on this parlay, you would win $115,000. Listen, if you put $10 in this parlay, $11,591. So listen, $10 is what? A drink at Starbucks? Sacrifice that Starbucks drink, sacrifice that McDonald's, McChicken or whatever, and then throw $10 on this one. You cash it, it's almost 12 grand. So, again, you got to hit 16 games correctly, but hey, anything can happen. All right, guys, our final must-win teaser of the year. 7-point tease plus 130 odds. We got Steelers plus 9.5. Again, if they somehow were to lose this game to the Bengals are not going to blow them out. Bucks minus 7. I think they killed Saints, but again, now you bring it down a touchdown. And Dolphins plus 6.5. Again, I think they win that game, but now at least if they do lose and they keep it close, we have ourselves a cover there. So that's a 3-leg teaser plus 130 odds, 7-point tease. All right, guys, next up, another 3-leg teaser, 7-point tease plus 130 odds. We're doing the total tease here. We got the over in the Panthers-Falcons, 41.5. The over in the Commanders-Cowboys, 36.5. And the under, 43.5 in Giants-Eagles. Just take a touchdown, either adding a touchdown or subtracting a touchdown off of each and every total there. Love that spot. And our final pick, guys, of the NFL Oracle for the 2024-25 season, we have our big tease, 4-leg teaser, minus 140 odds. We're getting Steelers plus 15.5. Again, they're not going to get blown out like this, so I think they win the game. So plus 15.5. Just a lot of insurance there. It's a 13-point teaser, by the way. We have Bucks minus 1. They literally just have to win the game, and we're good to go. Vikings plus 16. They're not getting killed by the Lions. I can tell you that much. And then we have Eagles plus 11.5. They can lose to the Giants now as long as they keep it within, 11 points or so. We're good to go. So that's our final pick of the year. So, guys, that is it for me today. That's it for me today, this week, this season. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for watching, guys. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I've had a lot of fun doing the show. Thank you to Ev for allowing me to do this. I cannot wait for next year to come back and make this show even bigger and even better next year. Again, I'm not going away for the rest of the season. You're going to get more playoff picks from me in single game videos and whatnot. Even check out my Instagram. Might be doing some more content over there. So, but this is it for the NFL Oracle. Had a lot of fun doing this show. I came up with the idea. Evan and I kind of both came up like, hey, let's do an NFL pick show for myself. I know he does his weekly pick show. And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. And we started I think it was like week 3 or 4. We had a little bit of a late start to the year when we finally launched the Oracle. But yeah, had a lot of fun. The show became something really special. We had a really great year too, barring a massive loss this week. We had an incredible season. So I can't help but be appreciative and thankful and sad to a sense that we're not going to be doing this anymore for at least another year or so. But we're not a year, I guess, next September, but, going to miss doing this and doing these videos with you guys for a little bit. But again, plenty more content between NBA, MLB is on the horizon. Believe it or not, it's only a couple months away. You'll be seeing plenty of me here on the channel. But guys, until next season, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy Week 18, as crazy as it's going to be. Enjoy the rest of the NFL season, the playoffs, the Super Bowl. Again, you're going to see me around making more videos between, playoff videos and whatnot. So this isn't goodbye. It's just see you later. We'll be back with the NFL Oracle next season here on Guy Boston Sports. Until then, hope you're all winners, guys. We'll see you next time.